Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Queen's Park. Some of you may have been here before. Some of you, it's a new first visit for you, so I hope you're enjoying your time here. It's interesting. I was going through doing some more research on community living. I have to point out that one of my assistants back in Windsor actually came out of community living. She worked for Community Living Essex. Her husband still works for Community Living Essex. So trust me, I've heard a lot about community living and the great work that the people within community living do. But I still wanted to look a little more into it, and that's when I came across the stories through Spark Change. And what was interesting to me about the stories and then further into the website, when you look at the newsletters and other things that have gone out, is it's not just the folks that work in community living that are sharing the message. It's not just them getting the word out. It's actually the people that they help. They bring their voice, they share their stories, and that's such an important piece to the work that community living does. It's one thing for those that work within an organization or someone like me, a politician, to stand before you and say things. It's another thing to actually have people who have lived experience share their stories and have other people in the community hear it. So to anybody that's in the room who has been featured in a newsletter or on the website or has come here and spoken at one of these events, I applaud you. It's not easy. I know it's not easy, but it's important that you do share your stories and share your concerns so that the government knows what work they need to do, and those of us in opposition know the issues so that we can help push the government in the right direction. There was some discussion today around the rate of ODSP and the recent increase in that. Anybody here that is living on ODSP knows that the increase is not enough. It definitely needs to be higher. We need to make sure that those that are living with a disability have the income security that they need to focus on other things in their lives. We know that there is a big gap between when someone transitions from one ministry at age 17 into Ministry of Community and Social Services at 18. We know that families have a very difficult time navigating that system. We know that passport funding is not flowing fast enough. And though the government just cleared the 2014 wait list, I'll point out it's 2017 and that list is still growing. So we have work to do around that. I encourage anybody that's here in the Toronto area, if you can come back tomorrow, we're having a rally around passport funding and supportive housing. So there is definitely more work to do. Definitely needs to continue to push the government in the right direction on that. And that's why it's so important that those of you that have lived experience come forward and share your voice with myself and the members of the government side to let them know that change still needs to be made. Now, I have a question for you. Who in the room knows Wayne Gretzky? Who knows who Wayne Gretzky is? All right. How many people know his father, Walter? Okay. So I'm going to share a story about someone in the Gretzky family that you may not know. Her name was Ellen. She passed away years ago. Ellen was the youngest sister of the Gretzky family, so of my father-in-law and Walter, Wayne's dad. This was their youngest sister, Ellen. And when she was born, she had Down syndrome. She was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and the family was told that she probably wouldn't live very long. And she proved them wrong. She proved them very wrong. The family was told back then that Ellen would never be able to do anything for herself and that she should basically just be put in a home and forgotten about. Let somebody else take care of her. The family didn't do that. Ellen lived into her 50s. The incredible things that she brought to the family, I look forward to every visit to the house to see Ellen. She stayed with family and was taken care of by family. And every time you showed up there, she shared a victory. I'll never forget the day that she baked a cake on her own. But she was so proud of herself for that. It was her birthday almost every day. I think it's because she wanted to bake a cake every day. She was one of the smartest and most, I'm trying to think of the word. She found ways of doing things that you think you figured her out. So she loved candy. She would hide candy in every part of her room. And let me tell you, when she passed away, they found candy in spots that nobody knew existed in that house. She was so smart. But I think it's important to note that it was through Ellen that I learned how much those with intellectual disabilities actually give to their families and to the communities around them. Ellen was very underestimated, and that's putting it lightly, when she was born, and she went on to do incredible things that people said she would never do. And she was a great loss to the family when she passed away. Sorry. It's not new. It happened years ago. But it's incredible what someone like that brings to the family. And so I applaud everybody in this room who works at community living. Those are the families of people with intellectual disabilities and those with intellectual disabilities for showing people like the ones who judged Ellen so harshly and said there were many things she would never do. Thank you for proving everybody wrong. Thank you for continuing to prove to people that you have so much to give to your families and the communities around us. Sorry. Thank you.